We should all celebrate changing our minds when the information changes or when our understanding of that information changes. And Pam Hemphill is somebody that I've absolutely changed my opinion about. Welcome once again to the Dollemore Daily. I am Jesse Dollemore. If it's not once again, welcome. If this is the first time you've ever been here, consider subscribing at the end of this video if you think it's worth it. Let me begin today where I ended yesterday, talking about the January 6th, 2021 insurrection against the United States, the attempted overthrow of our government by way of overturning a free and fair settled American election. An insurrection in which 1,500 plus people ended up being pardoned. And that's what I want to talk about. Yesterday, I went to the United States Capitol, just blocks away from my house, and I talked about the events that day and how Republicans have completely changed their tunes, because on that day, they were apoplectic. They were beside themselves. They were, harumph, I can't believe that Republicans would do the thing that we accuse Democrats of doing constantly. And after Donald Trump pardoned 1,500, many violent white supremacist nonsense chaos agents, there was one woman from my home state of Idaho who did not accept a pardon, indeed refused a pardon from Donald Trump. She wanted to have a mea culpa. She wanted to accept responsibility for her crimes. She turned away from MAGA, admitting that she had been led astray. Pam Hemphill is her name. They called her the MAGA Granny. And for years, I've been very skeptical, even critical of Pam. I've thought of her as a grifter and an opportunist, someone who is just trying to seek fame to get the spotlight off of her, the negative spotlight off of her. And yesterday, after I finished that video, I bumped into Pam, steps away from where I was filming, and got a chance to actually say the things I just said to her face. I'm going to show you that 4 or 5 minute interview. It was just impromptu on the street. I had to roll up a piece of paper that I have and attach my mic to it on the end. That's how impromptu it was. But before I do, if you're not familiar with her, let me play you a minute and a half of her testimony before the House of Representatives yesterday, talking about having been led astray, having been gaslit by Donald Trump and MAGA, and accepting responsibility for her wrongdoing, which is something I think we're just in short supply of in American politics today. So let me start with that. Here's Pam Hemphill, and this isn't even the entirety of it. You could find this online. I would suggest you do, because there is nobility in what you're getting ready to watch.
My name is Pam Hemphill. I'm a mother and a grandmother and a cancer survivor and a retired addiction counselor. I am also a convicted criminal for what I did on January the 6th, 2021. Thank you for having me back to the Capitol today. I am deeply grateful for this chance to try to make amends and talk about what happened 5 years ago. Once I got away from the MAGA cult and started educating myself about January the 6th, I knew what I did was wrong. I pleaded guilty to my crimes because I did the crime. I received due process, and the DOJ was not weaponized against me. When Donald Trump pardoned us, I rejected the pardon. Accepting that pardon would be lying about what happened on January the 6th. I am guilty, and I own that guilt. 5 years ago, I traveled from Idaho to D.C. to see Donald Trump speak. I had fallen for the president's lies, just like many of his supporters.
But she didn't just say that. There was another moment where she talked about, you can't gaslight me. I was there. I saw police fall to the ground and be pepper sprayed and beaten and attacked. I saw that from my own eyes, which is wonderful to hear from someone who was there, someone who was part of the movement, who was then turned away. Anyway, I think it's important because one, it's a reversal of opinion on my part, and I think we should all celebrate changing our minds when the information changes or when our understanding of that information changes. And Pam Hemphill is somebody that I've absolutely changed my opinion about. So here it is, me bumping into her and having a brief conversation.
Pam, fellow Idahoan.
I'm sorry.
You see?
He's definitely my favorite.
They hate me in Idaho.
I got you. They hate me in Idaho, sister.
So you see, you guys can join together.
I did want to say this, though, and we're on camera, just to let you know. I have, but I wanted to say this. I have been, let me put this here, like a
You saw today's testimony?
You're fine.
Oh.
I did want to say that I in the past have been super critical of you. I thought,
Well, you should be.
I said, grifter, she's just looking for 15 minutes. And then when you refused the pardon,
I'm saying a lot.
it said everything.
Yeah,
Because so many people are trying to enrich themselves, they're trying to self-aggrandize, they're trying to get their 15 minutes of fame, and you didn't do that. And for me, I had a lot of pride because there were Idahoans other than you who took part in the attempt to overthrow the United States government. And you stood up and you made Idahoans proud. So I just wanted to say thank you.
Thank you.
One, why are you barefoot?
I say the same thing. I say the same thing.
I wanted to be cute today. I have gout and I'm wearing heels
So what are you doing out here today?
for the hearing.
Yeah. Yeah, I just played a clip of Raskin, and I'm glad that you're being the 15 minutes that you are getting is not to bolster yourself or your fame or whatever else. It's to actually stand for the truth. Well, there's two. You know your cohort here, that your former cohort, that they're
I don't see
traitors and dipshits. No.
Oh, well, hell yeah. Liars and for their own interest.
Yeah.
For their pocket. If I stayed MAGA, I'd be very rich. You got to see my...
Yes.
If I went MAGA, I'd be very rich.
Yes, if I was stayed MAGA, I would have been famous and lots of money.
Yep.
But it's not about that, and that would be shameful for any J6er to take a dime for being there on January the 6th.
Well, we need reparations in this country, just not for traitors to the country.
Exactly.
So let me ask you very quickly, and I got to get back to the studio, but and you've probably said this in many interviews, but what was the seminal moment? What was the thing that you realized, oh shit, I've been led astray?
I was still hanging on to that victimhood. I wouldn't push barriers. I wouldn't have hurt officers. And when I was in my office with my therapist, and he looked at me and said, Miss Hemphill, you're not a victim of January the 6th. You were a volunteer. And I got mad at him. I walked out of the office. I said, I'm not seeing Dr. Rice no more. I wouldn't have done all those things. And I got home that night and I started praying and did some writing and asked God to forgive me.
Thank you.
He was right. I broke the law.
Thank you.
That's all there is to it.
Thank
I
you.
broke the law.
I wish more was like you.
What was what was the reaction when you refused the pardon? Like what was your family reaction? What were some of the individuals who you were here with? What did you hear from them?
My family told me I've lost my, I won't say the word, mind.
I can say it. You lost your fucking mind, right? It seems to me you gained your fucking mind that day.
Oh no, they're so angry at me. The smear campaign is beyond what you can imagine. The lies that are out there about me. I'm a liar. I work for the FBI. You know that, don't you?
Oh, I've been called the Fed so many
I
times.
love that one. I had to make a decision when I went on CNN the very first time that I had to make amends. You just don't say you're sorry. You know what it's like to get out there in media, Pam? Oh my God, your reputation, threats, you could be killed. But however, what the officers went through that day, that's the least I can do.
Yeah.
Is speak up and be honest about what happened that day.
Well, I appreciate it. Can I Give you a hug?
Oh, look at that. I love it. I love it. Aren't you glad
Can
I
I say this?
interrupted you?
Can I say this for
Yeah,
you?
sure.
She reclaimed her soul.
Yeah.
And that's what America needs to do. That's what the 77 million people who voted for him, America needs to reclaim its soul, because America does not reclaim its soul, we're going to be in anarchy. And and we cannot have a pedophile piece of scum continue to lead this country. And it's an insult. He is a direct insult to everyone who's ever had a brain cell. Is Donald Trump. He has to go. So America, reclaim your soul.
Let's end it with your flag.
Hey, Trump.
Well, all of us.
Reclaim your soul, America.
Reporting live from the United States Capitol with his fellow patriots.
This is what we need.
See you next time.
That's what we need.
Reclaim your soul, America.
I want to be more effusive. I want to really, but she gets it,
Donald Trump is a lunatic. In years to come, we will look back on this time in American history. I don't know if it's going to be 15 or 20 or 25, 100 years from now. And we'll think to ourselves collectively as a nation, what the f were we thinking putting that madman in charge? This madman. And yes, that is a real photo, as is this one, from yesterday when he addressed the House Republican caucus, speaking to professionals, speaking to members of the Republican Party who hold high, elevated, lofty positions within our government, elected to represent constituencies all across our great republic. And he did this.
And I have to say this, the dancing they really like. She said they don't like it, they're just being nice to you. I said, that's not right. The place goes crazy. They're screaming, dance, please. But the weightlifting, but no, the girl gets up. And you see, I want to be more, but I have somebody watching. I want to be more effusive. I want to really, but she gets it, drops the thing, walks off the stage crying. Her mother's crying, her father's crying. Guy gets up. He said, have you lifted before? A little bit. And he walks up, bing. He could have gone ding, 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 ding. I think it was 112 pounds, huh? It's crazy.
It's crazy, all right. It's crazy. Almost as crazy as Donald Trump asserting with the flapping hole, the gummy, flappy, lip-fueled nonsense that falls under his nose, talking about canceling the election in the midterm. And not just canceling the election, but whining that if he were to actually explicitly call for canceling the election, people in the media would say, oh, he wants to cancel the election. Yeah, that's the way it works in a democracy. When a demented lunatic who thinks he's a king wants to cancel the election, they're going to report on it in an alarming way.
We had the worst president, did the worst job. They had the worst policy. We have to even run against these people. Now, I won't say cancel the election. They should cancel the election because the fake news will say, he wants the elections canceled. He's a dictator. They always call me a dictator. Nobody's worse than Obama and the people that surrounded Biden. Not Biden. I don't think it was Biden. He didn't know what the hell was going on, okay? The election was rigged. He had no idea what happened. He still doesn't. The auto pen. And by the way, you ought to make a big deal out of the auto pen. The auto pen was your president because most of the things were signed by auto pen. And you're not allowed to do that. I signed very little. Now I just sign everything because it's just so crazy.
What is so confounding for the addled brain of Donald Trump to understand that if an elected president asserted to cancel an election, something that is not within his power, within anybody's power, that would be something to report on. Well, then if I tried to cancel the election, they'd call me a dictator, he whines. Yeah, because that is what you would try to be, Donald Trump. And this is the man that they see fit to run our foreign policy, to post on his owned True Social, his social media platform, that we are going to steal the oil of a foreign country. The man that just asserted interest in canceling the election, this guy posted this on True Social. I am pleased to announce that the interim authorities in Venezuela will be turning over between 30 and 50 million barrels of high quality sanctioned oil to the United States of America. This oil will be sold at its market price, and that money will be controlled by me as President of the United States of America to ensure it is used to benefit the people of Venezuela and the United States. I have asked Energy Secretary Chris White to execute this plan. Immediately, it will be taken by storage ships and brought directly to unloading docks in the United States. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America. It reminds me of when I used to do the red-faced rage, reading statements from Donald Trump when he wasn't president. But this is obviously unconstitutional. That Donald Trump, as president of the United States, does not have constitutional authority to raise revenue through any means whatsoever. That is in the sole purview, according to Article 1 of the Constitution, of the Congress. The Congress has the authority under the Constitution to levy taxes, to deal with raising revenues for the country. Donald Trump is not in that position. And for him to say that he's going to go outside and make business deals with countries, which is ultimately what this, under coercion, under threat of force of our United States military, it's unconstitutional. It's un-American, some would say. But those who are constitutional purists, where are they? Where are the people who act like the pocket constitution crowd? Where are they to speak against Donald Trump? Where's your Mike Lee and your Ted Cruz and your Rand Paul? Well, Rand Paul might actually be there to talk about it, but the rest of them are just suckling at the teats of Donald Trump, trying to imbue, oh yeah, give me that power. Yeah, give me that influence. Give me that connection to Donald Trump. I got a few takes here from people across the internet, and all of this is stuff that I agree with, but I wanted to highlight some opinions that you don't have to just rely on me that this is batshit crazy, that this is unconstitutional, that this is misaligned, disaligned, unaligned with normal behavior, and also just respect for the oath that he took for the Constitution. Let's start with Matt Gertz from Media Matters. Shaking down a country for its national resources under the explicit threat of further military strikes to fund a presidential slush fund. That's exactly what that post on Truth Social just indicated. Ron Filipowski, he's over at Midas Touch. This is blatantly illegal. A president can't go into the oil business and then decide where to spend the money. We are completely untethered from our founding document with a lawless president and a Republican Congress, which has abdicated all constitutional authority. Where's he wrong? Anybody. Even the Trump trolls who dutifully watch every single second of my content. Aaron Rupar does fantastic work across the internet, keeping people aware of what Donald Trump is doing and the Republicans. If Trump is really stealing spending power from Congress, then it would be insanity for Democrats to vote to fund the government later this month. Shut it down until the president stops wiping his ass with the Constitution. This is the point I chose to end on because I fully endorse this idea. We need Democrats to step up, especially in the face of a Republican Party and a Republican propaganda operation. Fox News, CBS News, Newsmax, OAN, all across the board are trying to justify this as normal, as justifies, as constitutional, as basically generally legal. And it is not. Here is Jesse Waters making about the weakest argument I've heard on the matter.
They are mad that we're taking the oil. What do you think this economy runs on? Solar panels? You think we're going to win the AI race with China with windmills? Did the Democrats even build any windmills in 4 years? Did the Democrats build anything? How about being proud to be an American?
Yes, Jesse Waters, you sausage arm rube. Of course, people are mad that we're trying to steal the oil from a sovereign nation that is not ours. And no one believes that our economy runs on this or that. It doesn't matter. If that were the bar, we would invade Saudi Arabia and take their oil. We would invade the United Arab Emirates and take their oil. We would invade Norway, which we may do, and take their oil. Just because Venezuela is in a vulnerable position doesn't make us justified as the bully in our hemisphere that no one can do anything about it, and that's the justification. That's nonsense. That's not how to run a country. That's not how to be a good neighbor and friend. If we wanted to do the right and noble thing, we would prop up somebody there. We would put somebody in place. We would formulate a situation in which an election, a democratic election, could take place in Venezuela. Instead, Donald Trump's running the show. Donald Trump, who still intends to violate the Constitution by true social edict. He's not even being shy or obscure about it. It's just public, rampant defiance of the Constitution at every single turn. Madman, to be sure. And in 100 years, we will be thinking to ourselves, what did we do? What was happening in the country and the culture for us to think this was the way forward? This clear fraudster, this convicted felon, this credibly accused rapist of children, certainly of women. Over 24 women have come forward. I mean, 100 years time, I hope before that. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below the video. You can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily at dollamore.com.
Shame! Shame! Shame!
Another moment in American history that Donald Trump can be proud of, that Tom Homan can be proud of, that Kristi Noem can be proud of, that Pam Bondi can be proud of, that Kash Patel can luxuriate in his pride about. A citizen was murdered at the hands of Donald Trump's masked secret police in the streets of Minneapolis, Minnesota, just moments ago. This is the killer, by the way. I'll play this video very quickly to give you eyes on who did it. There's no allegedly. We watched him do it. And I'm going to play the video at the end. This will certainly get demonetized because of the fact that I'm not going to hide the fact that the government is now snuffing out American citizens in the streets of American cities. Why should we? We can't show it. That's too crass. That's not the decent thing to do. The decent thing to do would be ignore the murder of individuals on the streets of American cities by Donald Trump's masked secret police. Here is the man who pulled the trigger.
You! Shame! 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 Shame!
And by the way, they're already clearing the scene just an hour or so removed from the crime. The feds are clearing the evidence so it cannot be investigated. There are many angles of the video that we could see. We know what took place. It is clear beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the officials in Minneapolis are incensed, to say the least. Jacob Fry had this to say with a very clear message to ICE about getting the fuck out of the city.
But I do have a message for our community, for our city, and I have a message for ICE. To ICE, get the fuck out of Minneapolis. We do not want you here. Your stated reason for being in this city is to create some kind of safety, and you are doing exactly the opposite. People are being hurt. Families are being ripped apart. Long-term Minneapolis residents that have contributed so greatly to our city, to our culture, to our economy are being terrorized, and now somebody is dead. That's on you. And it's also on you to leave.
That's a clear, resounding message to ICE that needs to reverberate in all of our minds, in all of our hearts, come from all of our mouths. Get the fuck out of our cities. You are not welcome here. The job you purport to do, you are doing the opposite. You are creating chaos. You are creating harm. You are creating fear. You are sowing division. Your dear leader intended for this to be the case, you Nazi fucks. We heard from the mayor of Minneapolis. Let's hear from the Secretary of Homeland Security as she cosplays a cowgirl with her giant 10-gallon hat atop her head without any information. This is an hour or so ago, before she had any concrete information about what took place. She's already calling this an act of domestic terrorism. I would agree. I would just say that the domestic terrorist is the one who pulled the trigger and not the one who was brutally murdered.
It was an act of domestic terrorism. What happened was our ICE officers were out in an enforcement action. They got stuck in the snow because of the adverse weather that is in Minneapolis. They were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with her vehicle. An officer of ours acted quickly and defensively shot to protect himself and the people around him. And my understanding is that she was hit and is deceased. We're continuing to gather more information, but this goes to show the assaults that our ICE officers and our law enforcement are under every single day. These vehicle rammings are domestic acts of terrorism. We're working with the Department of Justice to prosecute them as such. We will continue to protect our ICE officers and in cooperation with other law enforcement agencies as well.
Nothing they say you can take. You could take it with to take it with a grain of salt would be too much credit, too much fairness and charity for these Nazis, for these garbage fascists. And look, they're going to say that, oh, she was trying to run him down. You're going to see the video. She was not trying to gun him down. He steps into the way of the vehicle and fires shots. In fact, let me show you where the gunshot in the windshield was. If he was in danger of being killed by a vehicle, the gunshot would be right in dead center mass of the windshield. Instead, it's almost at the rear view mirror, at the side view mirror. Watch this from CNN earlier.
It did not appear that she was armed, and she was apparently, according to the police chief, driving off from where these officers were. It seems like that's a far more nuanced situation than what DHS has put out there in their statement, what we heard from Secretary Noem.
Well, first of all, DHS, as I said before, was premature in their comments.
The placement of that gunshot looks as though he could have just stepped to the side. But because he's an ICE agent, likely illiterate, likely has a criminal record based on these new recruits and all of the information we're receiving about them, he was not smart enough to cognitively process the fact that he could just step to the side and thought, maybe just murder this person who, by all accounts, maybe was just a protester. Maybe he was just a citizen. Maybe he was an observer of what was taking place. If your blood's not boiling that yet, let me share you this. The mush-mouth dildo with ears, Tom Homan, was on Hannity last night and promised on the eve of a murder of a United States citizen, on the eve of her killing, the gunning down of this individual, said to Hannity, "Sleep well, America, because we're keeping America safer." Talked about 10,000 new ICE recruits flooding the zone, and it's about to get a hell of a lot bigger, he said.
And this should come as no surprise to the American people. You and I spoke months ago. I made a promise that we would flood the zone of every sanctuary city in this country is bringing thousands of more agents, 10,000 more agents because of the big, beautiful bill. Why Minneapolis? Why are they being prioritized right now? Because billions of dollars fraud has been uncovered. And what they need to be concerned with, Tim Walz says he's not going anywhere. Well, either am I. Either is President Trump. Either is Pam Bondi. Either is Kristi Noem. So we're there because of the priority census, right? But that show is going on the road. So if the Democrats are having a fit now, you better get counseling, because this is about to get a hell of a lot bigger throughout this nation. That show is going on the road. I actually think Minneapolis is the tip of the iceberg. I think we're going to find a hell of a lot more in Illinois, New York, California. We'll see. But this operation will go nationwide. We're going to keep our promise. And because President Trump is sitting in the Oval Office, every American can put their head on the pillow tonight, knowing the Border Patrol is on that border, stopping all threats coming across the most secure border in history of this nation. ICE agents and FBI agents are working 24/7, 365, every hour of every day, taking public safety threats and national security threats off our streets. Sleep well, America, because we're keeping America safer. So we're doing exactly in Minnesota what we're going to do nationwide.
I'll tell you who shouldn't be sleeping well, Tom Homan. You. Donald Trump should not be sleeping well. Kristi Noem should not be sleeping well. Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, the rest of these fascist fucks should not sleep well. And the reason they shouldn't sleep well is because the American citizenry is waking up. Of all the cities to inflict this trauma against, Minneapolis ain't it. This was the aftermath while the agents, the murderers, and the accessories to the crime were attempting to flee the scene of the crime, and the citizens were not taking it. You'll hear in the background of this brief clip people saying they can't kill us all. These Nazi fucks can't kill all of us. And whether you literally take that into your day and embody that message, it needs to be embedded in you, in your spirit, to invigorate you, to fire you up, to get involved, to get active, to get organized. This is our country. They can't kill us all. They can't kidnap us all as much as they would like. Watch this.
Shoot someone else and kill them! You're gonna murder someone else! You're gonna shoot someone else! Come on! Kill us all! You can't kill us all! You can't kill us all, Nazis! You can't kill us all! That's a bitches! They should not even let you.
And look, if you haven't seen it, again, I believe is it our civic duty right now to tell the truth, to live in reality, to deal with reality on reality's terms. And this longer clip is the moment that it happens and the aftermath. And we owe it to ourselves to view these things as they happen, as they are. When the American government is murdering citizens, it's not the decent thing to do to not show the video. Now, there's no blood, but it is violence at the hands of armed agents of the state, masked, armed, secret police of Donald Trump. Watch this.
criminals. Don't let him leave. Don't let him leave.
Pussy motherfuckers, man.
No, get the fuck out of our neighborhood. Yeah, it's a fucking crime. We fucking know it. We're here.
Horrific. Let this be an inflection point for you, because we know it won't be an inflection point for the administration. We know Donald Trump's not going to lose a second of sleep worrying about the welfare of American citizens. All he cares about is creating his white fucking ethno state. I'm going to go. I want to hear from you. If you're in Minneapolis, I want to hear from you. Let's talk about this. Find someone who may be in need because of the trauma that this induces on people. And I'm not even talking about the victims who are direct victims. Wrap your arms around them. Be genuine. Take care of one another.
Well, the governor of California says, bring it on.
Oh, we'll be there. We think that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
I guess if you dress up like you're an urban combat vet, that you're a tactical operator going house to house, kicking indoors. I guess if you dress like that, it just kind of, you kind of start embodying this badass way of being, this tough guy way of talking. And Kristi Noem is certainly not immune from whatever weird hypnotic thing takes over them when they start dressing like they're special operators. Because last night Kristi Noem was on with Jesse Waters, and as an aside, how bad does she feel about herself? How much disrespect does she have for the creation that God has made, that she feels the need to improve upon the work of God? With her fillers and her long fake hair. I mean, maybe the goat she killed from her book, she actually killed it because it was a long-haired goat and she needed to harvest its hair to put atop her head. Maybe she killed it for the cosmetic uses of the fats and the collagen inside the body of the goat so she could inject it into her stupid fucking face. I don't know, but it is very bizarre to me. Here's a still from the interview you're getting ready to see, and it is, you might not know what she used to look like. I mean, these are pictures of what she used to look like. And now she looks like the lady who got all the plastic surgery to make herself look like a lion. I mean, I guess if we're looking on the bright side, it would be it is an absolute miracle that she found her upper lip, I guess. Praise Jesus. The woman has an upper lip now, I guess. She was on with Jesse Waters, I guess in support of this also insanity, and threatening Gavin Newsom, leveling threats against a seated, duly elected governor. It's always remarkable to marvel at the hypocrisy of Republicans, because I can tell you, when Kristi Noem was a governor of South Dakota, she would have been outraged at the violations of the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, which states roughly that any power that is not specifically granted to the federal government or specifically denied to the states, that power is then for the states to possess. This was the entire crux of Republican ideology for decades. And now it doesn't matter because Trump's in office. So here she is threatening Gavin Newsom, a current fellow governor. She's a former governor. Here she is threatening a governor with her new executive authority at the Department of Homeland Security.
And thank God we have a president that wants to make America safe again for every single citizen, regardless of where they live.
Well, the governor of California says, bring it on.
Oh, we'll be there. We think that this is just the tip of the iceberg. So Minnesota is unbelievable what we've seen, but it is leading us to networks all over the country and overseas, and we're going to follow every single one of them. Homeland Security Investigations is an incredible team of individuals who go after human traffickers, sex traffickers, but the fraud that we have in our public programs that are tied to California, absolutely. We're going to come to you, Governor Newsom, and we're going to arrest every single individual that has ties to this kind of stealing of taxpayer dollars, and we will hold them accountable. We'll bring them to justice.
Good. I think you're going to hit the jackpot out there in the Golden State. Secretary Noem, thank you so much, and thank everybody on your team for us.
Yeah. One, I hate to break it to you, Christy, but Gavin Newsom isn't afraid of you or Trump. Few Democrats are, because you are paper tigers who make threats. You are bullies. And like any schoolyard bully, which Donald Trump is, and you are trying your hardest to be, you punch them in the fucking face once or twice, and they cower. They are desperate to look like tough guys, though. The DHS Twitter account is just replete with propaganda video after propaganda video. Some of them are more slickly produced and professionally produced than others. Others are just vertical video zooming in as they're tactically operational. And now in Minnesota, watch this brief little clip from their Twitter account. And she is featured in it with her goat hair and her tactical gear and her wide flared cowboy jeans. It's all just embarrassing.
Had that 2x4 there, so it's not out of the ordinary.
Yeah. What is that there?
And do you know why we're here today?
¿Sabes por qué estamos aquí ahora?
No sé.
You will be held accountable for your crimes.
Vas a ser arrestado por los crímenes que tienes.
And we'll take you in for processing.
Buena pregunta. Yo no he cometido un delito aquí.
Dice aquí hacen con Mireille. Okay.
We'll take you in.
What? Okay.
Yeah. And look, I would be remiss, I would be not doing my job well if I didn't also point out some of the members of the media that are trying to give an assist to the DOJ. The new Fox News, NBC Nightly News, they actually did a feature on the operations in Minnesota. And this is about as glowing coverage as you will receive. I mean, this is the kind of shit that would make Fox News think, ooh, that's a little gross. Watch this.
Are you aware of the crimes you've committed?
That's Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who deployed roughly 2,000 agents to the Twin Cities to conduct immigration raids and to assist in a widening fraud probe.
2,000 agents is enormous.
It is.
How do you justify that to the American taxpayer?
The American taxpayer is grateful that that resource allocation has been put here. We've never seen this kind of fraudulent and abuse of programs before in recent history.
Over the past 3 years, prosecutors here have charged more than 90 people, mostly Somali Americans, with fraud.
This is where we are. Multiple state media outlets just uncritically. They toss a couple questions in there that seem like they're trying to get to the truth, but this is just in service to the administration. This is just in service to having Donald Trump look kindly upon them from his throne as the dictator of America. It is gross. It is embarrassing. And they will also be remembered in decades time, probably before that, once Tony DeKoppel's ratings start to absolutely crater. I mean, he hasn't even been there long enough for them to build ratings, but it's just gross. It is just undemocratic. This is not living up to the standards that the Constitution protects of the rights of the free and fair press. And they know it. They know it. They know what they're doing. They know the things that they're doing are absolutely out of line with reality, for that matter. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below the video, wherever you're watching it. If you're on Facebook, please like and follow the Dollemore Daily, where the videos are shared natively there, and you can just share them to your timeline if you are a Facebook user. I'm not encouraging you to start a Facebook account. That would be madness. That would be almost as mad as this. Don't be this guy, and start one afresh. You can also comment below YouTube and make sure you're subscribed. I would appreciate it very much.
Who's in charge of Venezuela? Donald J. Trump. If you defy him, what happened to Maduro is going to happen to you.
I know. People do not like when I criticize Democrats. A lot of people. I think my audience has found me because of the fact that I am not shy about leveling criticisms when they are indeed warranted. And there are many that are indeed warranted. I've called for Chuck Schumer's resignation. I've called for Hakeem Jeffries' resignation. Both of them need to be gone. I guess that you could stay in your position as the minority leader or as a senator and as a congressman from New York, from Brooklyn, Hakeem Jeffries. But you don't need to be in leadership. You're not up to the challenge. We need a wartime consigliere, as I've said many times. And I'm gonna give some praise here, because I'm gonna play a clip from Tim Walz. I'm gonna show you how not to be in this moment. And I'm going to give you a reason why. And then we're going to cut to Tim Walz to show you how to act, how to talk, how to message to the American people to show them exactly what is happening right now. And not just after you've decided not to run for re-election. This might be somewhat of a slight criticism for Tim Walz, but I think overall he's done a pretty stellar job at messaging. I mean, he really was the drive behind the messaging and the virality of the Kamala Harris campaign, in my opinion. But let's start with Chuck Schumer here, who's asking for assurances from Republicans. We've seen all kinds of clip from Chuck Schumer where he's like, I really just need to talk to Republicans. And he's trying to appeal to decency with elected Republicans. He's trying to get them on their side. I really hope Republicans will do the right thing. Keep hoping, Chuck Schumer, keep hoping that they're going to do the right thing when time and time and time again, when year after year after year, when decade after decade after decade, they show themselves to be unreliable. They are not partners in governance, and Chuck Schumer just cannot seem to figure that out. Watch this very brief clip as he says what he says and then runs away from the microphone.
I asked for some assurances that they were not planning operations in other countries, and I named a few of the ones you mentioned, including Colombia and Cuba, and I was very, very disappointed in their answer. Thank you, everybody.
You were disappointed in their answer? What reality do you exist in? Minority Leader of the United States Senate, Chuck Schumer. What nonsense is this? What expectations do you have? You expect this guy to give you accurate information, to be a partner in governance? Watch Lindsey Graham.
Who's in charge of Venezuela? Donald J. Trump. Now, people from the regime, the old regime, are helping us. We don't want to put a bunch of troops on the ground. So we got people from the old regime helping us rebuild the country to transition to democratic elections. There will be regime change in Venezuela through the ballot box. But who's in charge of Venezuela? Donald J. Trump. If you defy him, if you're one of the holdovers and you try to undercut him, what happened to Maduro is going to happen to you.
If you defy Donald Trump, what happened to Maduro will happen to you. That's the guy that Chuck Schumer wants to appeal to. Please start acting correctly. No. The way we need to talk to and about Republicans is this way. While Tim Walz is not going to run for re-election to be governor, I really hope, and I appeal to you, sir, Tim, stay in politics, run for president, do something to keep the conversation moving forward with this kind of energy where he's talking about Republicans in a way that every Democrat should. Every member of Congress should talk about Republicans like this. Tell Americans where Republicans are about supporting policies that improve their lives and where they are not with supporting policies that improve people's lives. Watch Governor of Minnesota, who is now under siege from Donald Trump. His state is under siege from Donald Trump, talking about Republicans.
Here's the thing that I'm going to ask all of you is, Republicans want to tear this state down. Republicans want to tell you it's too dangerous to walk down the streets. Republicans want to tell you there's nothing good comes out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. Republicans want to tell you everybody with brown skin is stealing money or that they're not welcome here. They want to do nothing to improve this state. Their idea of improving this state is being a parrot for Donald Trump, agreeing to everything that he agreed with. Well, here's what I'm going to tell you. It ain't happening. I'm not going anywhere. And you can make all your requests for me to resign over my dead body. Will that happen? I will fight this thing till the very end to make this state better. And the question that I think they need to decide is when did the guy in the White House resign? When does he take accountability for what he did? Because it isn't going to happen here in terms of us shying away from making the state better. So you'll get to see me more. The good news is on this is that I got no election to look forward to. I've been in front of you. I'll call on who I want to call on, and I'll watch what the press gets written, and we'll make sure that in this state there's full accountability for everybody. Because buck stops with me. I'm accountable for this. And because of that accountability, I'm not running for office again. But I have a year to continue to improve on a record that I think will stand up against anybody's, a record that has made Minnesota better, a record that makes people want to come here, and a record that has respected not only the dignity of people, but the idea of rule of law and camaraderie. So the one thing that I hate is anytime I get drug into being next to Donald Trump, God help me, I don't want to be judged against that guy. Judge me against an average Minnesotan going out to do their job every day and being decent to their neighbors. So thank you all, and we'll be back.
Thanks, folks. Appreciate it.
We got it.
Happy warrior, bringing joy and truth to governance. And look, a lot of people are they're falling for the propaganda nonsense of the welfare fraud story that has been a story for years. For years, 2026, there's been reporting on this since 2022. It's not a new story. It's only being capitalized right now because Donald Trump thinks he can make some political hay out of it, as the saying, I think, goes. They don't care about this shit. If they cared about it, Brett Favre would be in prison right now for welfare fraud in Mississippi. Remember that story? Remember Brett Favre? They don't care. They only care when they can capitalize on it for politics. Just like Donald Trump says he's against drug trafficking, but then pardons a notorious drug trafficker, the former president of Honduras, because Donald Trump made money from that. More from Democrats of this every day, all day. Please. Chuck Schumer, please resign from your elevated leadership position. Hakeem Jeffries, please resign from your position. Stay in office, do your thing, represent your district. They elected you, but nobody elected you from a popular vote standpoint to be the minority leader. You're not entitled to that position, even less than you're entitled to your position as a congressman. We need leadership in this time, clear spoken, focused leadership. I know we can do it. Anyway, what do you think? Tell me where I'm wrong. I know I'm going to get pushback. That's okay. I welcome dissent.
Marco Rubio, we salute you. You're the ultimate Florida man.
In this new age, we need to be very adroit, skillful, artful, talented at spotting propaganda and propagandists, because it's getting more difficult as time goes on, as technology improves, as the media gets more clever about how they do things. And right now, it is maybe the worst time in American history for right-wing fascist enablers in the media. Got One American News and Newsmax and Fox News. Got Breitbart and the New York Post and the Wall Street Journal. There's a lot out there. And now we got CBS News. We've been talking about CBS News recently. Tony DeCoppel, defender of genocide, hater of the downtrodden, who's now been put, elite, went to Columbia, put there by an elite who went to Columbia, hired both of them by billionaires. Ellison, the billionaire Nepo baby. None of these people have any talent or ability, no merit to speak of, but they've been lucky enough to stumble ass backwards into their positions. Tony DeCoppel, it's not like shocking to me. I'm not surprised by it because he's always been kind of a dirtbag, but it is remarkable to watch the CBS Evening News on the day of the fifth commemoration, remembrance of the insurrection, the attempted overthrow of the United States government that we all watched, the violent insurrection. To watch Tony DeCoppel last night, both sides, the attempted destruction and end of democracy in America, is just a marvel. Watch this.
Also tonight, 5 years after the January 6th attack, a group of pardoned defendants marched through Washington. President Trump today accused Democrats of failing to prevent the attack on the Capitol, while House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries accused the president of, quote, whitewashing it.
And the broadcast ended. Look, a lot of people are talking about the fact that CBS is really just in the tank for Donald Trump. They're just another element of propaganda for this administration. And it couldn't be more true or exemplary of that with this particular clip. They end the broadcast literally with him saying, "Marco Rubio, we salute you."
And only in America, the many lives and many jobs of Marco Rubio, the son of Cuban immigrants and a former Florida senator. He's now the face of U.S. foreign policy and President Trump's point man on Venezuela, all in addition to his roles as Secretary of State, interim national security advisor, and acting national archivist and USAID chief. Whatever you think of his politics, you got to admit it's an impressive resume. And now AI memes have added to that portfolio, casting Secretary Rubio as the new governor of Minnesota, the new Shah of Iran, the prime minister of Greenland, the new manager of Manchester United, the head of Hilton Hotels, and highest of high honors of all, the new Michelin man. Now, back in real life, of course, these memes may not add up to much, but for Rubio's hometown fans, which are many around here in Miami, it is a sign of how Florida, once an American punchline, has become a leader on the world stage. Marco Rubio, we salute you. You're the ultimate Florida man.
AI memes as you chuckle along and say, "We salute you, Marco Rubio." The Marco Rubio who only hours before dedicated a moment of a press conference talking about the invasion of Venezuela to say, "Hey, wait, everybody. You're next, Cuba. I would be worried if I was in Havana right now."
That helped protect Maduro. This is well known. Their whole spy agency, all that were full of Cubans. I mean, they basically, it's amazing. This poor island took over Venezuela in some cases. One of the biggest problems that Venezuelans have is they have to declare independence from Cuba. They tried to basically colonize it from a security standpoint. So, yeah, look, if I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned, at least a little bit.
Cutting off the oil flow to Cuba from Venezuela?
Well, the president already announced a week ago that anything that's sanctioned, it's sanctioned oil, it's not going to be allowed to get there. So that's a pre-existing.
Mr. President, the answer is yes. Yes.
If I lived in Havana and I was in the government, I'd be concerned right now because of the impending invasion of the United States of America. What are we doing here, CBS? I salute you, Marco Rubio. I salute you. We salute your anti-democratic, unconstitutional, illegal invasion of many countries in our hemisphere. The vile, sickening threats of military force against sovereign countries who are sometimes even peaceful allies. We salute you, Marco Rubio. Remember when it was like before his first day on the job, when he was like, you can trust me and we're going to stop paying attention to experts. We're not going to listen to professors and people who study 1 or 2 or 3 topics extensively for their entire professional life. No. We're going to talk to MAGA. What do they think about everything? Yeah, well, apparently they hate experts so much that they can't even hire them to run their prompters because this was his first night on the job. Just egg on his face. I mean, at least he has a jacket on and you don't see his dinner plate nipples through his shirt with no t-shirt. The thinnest silk weird shirt I've ever seen on a professional anchor on a news show. What are you doing, dude? But here he is, and the whole broadcast just absolutely fucking falls apart. Because it's not a professional operation.
Hemisphere. With Maduro now out, that base of power and influence could be out too. All right, to other news, as you just heard from Jill. Well, to other news now, to Governor Walz. No, we're going to do Mark Kelly. First day, big problems here. Are we going to Kelly here, or are we going to go to Jonah Kaplan? We're doing Mark Kelly, possibly demoted from his retired rank of captain in the Navy. Hegseth issued what's known as a letter of censure for the Arizona Democrat over his participation in a video that called on service members to defy illegal orders without specifying which orders he had in mind. Hegseth called what the former combat pilot and astronaut did an act of sedition. Now we go to Minnesota. A surprise announcement from the Great Lakes state there today. Tim Walz, the 2024 Democratic vice presidential nominee.
Yeah, they definitely shit the bed on the first night. They're continuing to shit the bed as time goes on. But this is where it really gets depressing, is now we have to rely on, when CNN is your best choice for actual journalism, it should leave a bad taste in your mouth. I mean, how hard is it to do what I'm getting ready to play for you right now, which is from a couple days ago from CNN, who put together this mashup of a juxtaposition of Donald Trump, the version of Donald Trump who's against regime change versus the version of Donald Trump that we know now, who's fully endorsing regime change.
Colombia is very sick too, run by a sick man who likes making cocaine and selling it to the United States. And he's not going to be doing it very long, let me tell you. We believe that the job of the United States military is not to wage endless regime change wars. You have to do something with Mexico. Mexico has to get their act together because they're pouring through Mexico, and we're going to have to do something. The cartels are running Mexico. Whether you like it or not, it's not nice to say, but the cartels are running Mexico. We will stop racing to topple foreign, and you understand this, foreign regimes that we know nothing about, that we shouldn't be involved with.
There's been protesters killed in Iran.
If they start killing people like they have in the past, I think they're going to get hit very hard by the United States. Regime change in Iraq, regime change in Libya, regime change in Syria, and every other globalist disaster for half a century. We need Greenland from the standpoint of national security, and Denmark is not going to be able to do it. We're getting out of the nation-building business and instead focusing on creating stability in the world.
The American dominance in the Western Hemisphere will never be questioned again.
Stupid foreign wars in countries that you've never heard of. This Tuesday is your chance to stand up and declare that you're not going to take it anymore.
Thankfully, we didn't get a salute to Marco Rubio. Yes, sir. We're here at your beck and call, sir. We salute you. Nonsense. Anyway, I welcome you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. If you're all over on Facebook, like and follow the Dollemore Daily Facebook page. We are, 60,000 now? We could be at 100,000 very, very quickly if you're already on Facebook. Don't go signing up. But if you're already there, like and follow the Dollemore Daily. Share these natively on Facebook. It's not a link. Facebook will promote it because it's on Facebook. And I would appreciate it very much. It does absolutely help the channel very much. It not just from exposure level either. Anyway, thank you very much. They just altered the rules because people are starting to put stickers over Donald Trump's face. Never was the rule before. It's a new rule because the dear leader cannot be mocked. Or can he? I've been talking a lot about Donald Trump and his effort to kingship, his path to sovereignty, his ability somehow to convince these MAGA Americans, that these people who were like, don't tread on me, that indeed he is the one to tread on them. He's hanging banners all over the city of Washington with his face on them. He's endeavoring to put his face on coins while he's still alive, while he's still president of the United States. He's illegally vandalized the Kennedy Center by putting his name next to John F. Kennedy on it, the Donald J. Trump John F. Kennedy Memorial Center for the Arts, the Kennedy Center. He's changed the Institute of Peace to the Donald J. Trump Institute of Peace, all while attempting to start World War III. And the other thing that he's put his face on is the National Parks card. This is a card you could purchase to get access to our many, many, many beautiful national parks. They usually look something like this. We'll put this up on screen, where they show the beauty of the varied geography, topography of the United States, mountains and forests and lakes and rivers and streams and the wildlife, from lizards to polar bears. Right, it's just amazing what we have to offer in this country, what we can take advantage of in this country. And Donald Trump sees fit to put his face on it. Well, now we're learning, you've read the title, you've seen the thumbnail, you know what this video is about. Donald Trump is now threatening to cancel people's cards, people who are putting like a smiley face sticker over just a sticker on their own card. It's like having a membership card, putting something on your Costco card, right? Well, that's getting people in trouble, and they're getting threatened with cancellation of the card they've paid for to access our national parks because of besmirching the face of the dear leader. So what I've done, before I read this article to you, the insane thing that's happening right now, I thought I would create my own Donald Trump America the Beautiful National Parks card. This one was from yesterday. I don't know what he was doing. He certainly was a little off with the color, a little more orange than usual. Here's another one of my favorites from the campaign. Ooh, Donald Trump, please put something in my mouth. Hurry. Here's one that's more recent. A little dozy Donald Trump. If that's not your flavor, how about this one? Submitted without comment. If this one's too low res for you, how about this one, Donald Trump? Is this the one? Is this the National Parks card we should be showing? Huh, brother? Because this is what's happening right now. This is from San Francisco Gate. Department of Interior cracks down on stickers covering Trump's face on national parks passes. Your American the Beautiful pass could be voided, the headline reads. Covering up Donald Trump's face on an America the Beautiful pass may come with an extra cost at national park entrance gates this year. The Department of the Interior recently updated its void if altered rules for 2026. They just altered the rules because people are starting to put stickers over Donald Trump's face. Never was the rule before. It's a new rule because the dear leader cannot be mocked. Or can he? How would he know anyway? He's half asleep all the time. Recently updated its voided if altered rules for 2026, explicitly flagging stickers and other coverings as alterations that could invalidate the pass. The move appears to respond to visitors preparing to cover the image of Trump, which was set to begin appearing on passes January 1st, despite legal challenges. Because after all, this, well, not this, but no, not that. Where is it? This is illegal. An internal email from the department business specialists Allison Christophs and Jeff Beauchamps to regional National Park Service staff shared updated guidelines for passes this year, highlighting changes to the department's altered pass policy. The email was provided to SF Gate by a Park Service employee who requested anonymity to protect their job, which was granted in accordance with Hearst ethics policies. This is a Hearst publication. The Park Service's pass policy has long stated that passes can be voided if the signature section of the card is altered. But now the policy mentions stickers on the front of the pass as well. Quote, defacing the pass in any way, including writing on it or adding stickers or other coverings, is a form of altering the pass, reads the policy. Quote, altering a pass can cover up important information and required security features necessary to prevent fraud. Well, let me tell you, National Park Service, if you're trying to prevent fraud, then maybe don't have a convicted fraudster on the National Park Pass. Just a thought. Continuing with the article, it goes on to explain that staff members handed altered passes can make a judgment call on whether to accept them, assuming that all security features, a mountain-shaped foil hologram, some imprinted microtext, and the word interagency across the front of the pass in visible ink are all still visible. Staff members can ask visitors to remove any stickers or charge the visitor for a day pass or pass replacement. Elizabeth Peace, a senior public affairs specialist with the Interior Department, did not confirm the specific language in the policy that was changed this year, but told FS Gate that changes were made to clarify the existing policy. The changes, she said, provided additional clarification to help avoid confusion and support visitor interactions due to the volume of questions received from staff and visitors, she wrote in an email. You mean that they added additional clarification to help avoid confusion and hurt feelings from the Donald Trump? Peace did not respond to questions about the levels of fraud that led to the introduction of security features on park passes in 2017 or any details about fraud since then. The updated guidance arrives as some artists and small businesses have begun selling stickers designed to cover the image on the front of the America the Beautiful pass. Colorado ecologist and watercolor artist Jenny McCarty recently began selling stickers featuring scenes from national parks, saying the designs are meant as a form of protest and an effort to restore what she views as the pass's aesthetic purpose. Again, this would be the aesthetic purpose that this artist is talking about. McCarty told SF Gate in December that she has received more than 100 orders in 2 days with proceeds earmarked for national park-related nonprofits. The employee who provided the emails to FS Gate said that they and colleagues are facing this issue for the first time because we've never had a thin-skinned, narcissistic, megalomaniacal lunatic, a demented old bat as president of the United States. I've personally, they said, accepted passes that people put stickers on because they just like stickers. And it's never, been a problem, they said. If you buy a pass from REI, they have a little sticker on it that a lot of people don't take off. We've accepted those and never had a problem. The problem lies in the fact that you've accepted them when Donald Trump wasn't president, when the dear leader who must not be mocked was president. Anyway, let me say this. I should have done this earlier, for engagement's sake, for the YouTube algorithm trick. What do you think? What would be a good image to put on the card? I have a blank card. We could print up a whole bunch of them. Well, this is the goofiest one of all. Accurate. 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 Unfortunately, very accurate. And my favorite, the most accurate. Anyway, what do you think? I invite you to this conversation. You can give me your picks and your choices for what can go on a card below in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. You can also call the voicemail line 714-576-4054. And of course, as always, you can email me daily@dollemore.com. Look, if we can't have a little fun in the midst of all the terror, then we'll just be terrorized and not be having much fun. I love and appreciate you very much. I'll see you next time. Be genuine and take care of one another.
So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. That makes me smarter than you. Because look where I am, right? But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on.
A lot of people ask me when they meet me in person, or friends, or people not immediately connected to politics, do you really think Donald Trump is that much of a danger? Do you really think Donald Trump is mentally unstable? And the answer is obviously yes. The answer is so self-evident when you watch him, when you hear him, when you listen to him. He is clearly diminished. He is an unhinged character in the pantheon of unhinged characters that exist in the history of the United States. And right now he is speaking. As I am speaking, he is still delivering an address to Republicans in Congress who are but subjects to their king. It is remarkable to me the lack of dignity, the lack of shame, the lack of self-respect that exists or does not exist in Republican circles among the elected officials. Let's start with this. This is Donald Trump. It's just a rambling nonsense speech. I don't even know if there's a teleprompter. It's just him, old grandpa, telling his tales. And in this first clip, it's him telling members of Congress, his colleagues, that he's so much smarter than them, that if they were as smart as him, they'd be standing where he is and not where they are.
But they say that when you win the presidency, you lose the midterm. So you're all brilliant people. Most of you are in this business longer than me. That makes me smarter than you. Because look where I am, right? No, it doesn't. But I wish you could explain to me what the hell's going on with the mind of the public, because we have the right policy. They don't. They have a horrible policy. They do stick together. They're violent. They're vicious. They're vicious people.
And they sit there and they will applaud him. They will add, oh, dear leader, thank you for the insults. It's the same narrative that the White House wants the American people to believe, that the press should be thankful that Donald Trump calls them piggies, tells them to shut their mouths, little piggies. And the Republicans, they are the little piggies that Donald Trump wants, that he desperately needs to surround him to inflate his self-esteem when he's feeling bad about himself. And that, I just segued myself here, that is exactly what he is, a weak coward, a physical weakling, a mental weakling, an emotional weakling. And it came out when he's talking about Nicolas Maduro, the now kidnapped, indicted, soon to be prosecuted, former president of Venezuela. Again, bad guy, deserves all the bad shit that's coming to him. I'm no Nicolas Maduro ally or supporter, and I'm not going to sing his praises or act like he didn't get what he deserved. It's the manner with which he got it that we have a problem with. But here's Donald Trump just laying bare the fact that he's a coward and a weakling, that is predicating some of what happened to Nicolas Maduro on the fact that Nicolas Maduro made fun of his jerk-off dance.
And, he's a violent guy. He gets up there and he tries to imitate my dance a little bit. But he's a violent guy.
That's weakness. From the President of the United States of America. The President of the United States of America. This isn't the dude that works at the pharmacy down the street. This is the president who seeks a third term, who wants these people to begin a movement to amend the Constitution of the United States to allow him to run for a third term. This has all kinds of implications for other Republicans who might want to run to be president themselves. But Donald Trump, the almost 80-year-old failing health douche who can't stay awake during any single meeting in the middle of the day, he wants to be president again. I will contend again. I will maintain. I do not believe he will make it through this year. I believe we will wake up one day and it'll be, oh shit, Donald Trump died in his sleep, and we can all take to the streets and celebrate. But in the meantime, we have to contend with this as he attempts to alter our Constitution to run again.
In other words, I could have the most unbelievable 4 years, and I guess I'm not allowed to run. I'm not sure. Is there a little something out there that I'm not allowed to run? But let's assume I was allowed to run. I could have, there's going to be a constitutional movement. No, I could have the most unbelievable 4 years. Everything was great, but in the last week, I made a little slip up in something, and you lose the election. It's like, so we can't let them forget that we did such a great job on the border.
And it is because of this that he believes. I mean, this explains it away, that he feels like he is a king. The king. It's why we have protests. No kings. And he said as much. He slipped. He says the words, I'm the king, when talking about how many Boeing planes he sold. I didn't know he works at a Boeing dealership selling Boeing planes as president of the United States, but apparently he wants that moniker, the king of Boeing aircraft sales.
The big problem with it. I'm the king. I have sold more Boeings than any human being on earth. They gave me an award, Salesman of the Year. I said, what about Salesman of the in the history of Boeing? I've sold more Boeing planes than any man in history by far, probably over 1,000. Over 1,000 planes. I said, that's the good news. But why should they wait 3-4 years to get a plane? They should build them, get them immediately.
Now, look, I don't know that this is by accident. I think this is probably by design, that Donald Trump does think this way. He does not think of the larger picture of what it looks like, what kind of message it sends for a president of the United States, a democratically elected individual, to declare themselves a king. And we've seen this time and time and time again with Donald Trump putting up pictures of himself on fake Time magazine covers with a crown on, calling himself a king, acting as though he is a king, ruling as though he is a king. He does not govern. He thinks he rules. And he's given a speech now to Republicans who have abdicated their role as a co-equal branch of government. Every single one of those individuals in that room is equal to Donald Trump by constitutional mandate, by edict, by design from our founders. And they bend the knee. They just bend over and let Donald Trump do whatever to them that he so desires. We are ruled by cowards, by weaklings, by men who act like they are masculine, strong, traditionally, and they're Donald Trump included. Weak dipshits, every single one of them. Unfortunately, we are in a situation where elected Democrats haven't yet found the tone and tenor that they want to communicate to the American people how they will fight this. It's a sad state of affairs when people in my position are working harder than Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, who just fire off emails and tweets about how concerned they are. I have no power other than the microphone and the camera in front of which I sit. I don't have the ability to propose legislation, to bring lawsuits against this administration, to stop it in its tracks, to at the very least slow it. I don't have that power. You don't have that power. We have the power to elect people who have that power. But we've got a maniac right now, a mentally ill lunatic who claims himself to be a king, who justifies the arrest of leaders of foreign countries because they made fun of his dance, where he mimics jerking multiple dudes off at one time. They're arresting protesters in the streets for lodging their displeasure with what's taking place in our country. They are arresting protesters and citizens of the country and migrants in this nation. They are kidnapping them with a masked police force on the anniversary of January 6th, the day that Donald Trump attempted to overthrow the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair and settled American election. The insurrectionist party is now in control, and we have a minority party, not an opposition party. I'm going to end it there. More to come. He's still talking. We will see. I love and appreciate you very much. Sound off in the comments.
The president has been clear for months now Greenland should be part of the United States. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland?
So while Donald Trump right now is speaking to Congress, the plans to begin World War III are underfoot. And there's really no other way to explain the now policy choices being made by this administration without the consult of Congress, without reliance upon the war powers that Congress has, the sole power that the Constitution grants the Congress to declare war. Donald Trump is just riding roughshod over the Constitution because he believes himself to be a king. King of Boeing aircraft sales, apparently. Donald Trump's emissary, the ghoulish white supremacist, Stephen Miller, was on with Jake Tapper last night and refused to rule out military attack of Greenland/Denmark in order that Greenland becomes a new territory or colony of these United States. It's an easy question that's asked. It's, can you rule out that the U.S. is, as ever, going to try to take Greenland by force? Can you rule it out that the United States is going to do that? It should be, we're not talking about military action here. We're not talking about invading Denmark, invading Greenland and booting out the governing forces, the people who actually run Greenland. We're not talking about that. It's easy to answer that. But in this entire clip, he never gets to that. In fact, this is just a ridiculous assertion. I can't believe you would even ask that question. Well, if it's that easy, if it's so ridiculous, then you should be able to answer it. Should you not? You Q-tip with ears? Should you not? Watch this.
Important topic. The premier of Greenland and the premier of Denmark and other Danish officials are responding to a Twitter post from your wife, Katie Miller, herself a former Trump White House official, showing Greenland covered with an American flag, saying soon. After that was posted, President Trump repeated the claim that the U.S. needs Greenland for national security reasons. The Danish prime minister responded to this in an interview earlier today, as reported by Bloomberg, quote, "I believe one should take the American president seriously when he says it wants Greenland, but I will also make it clear that if the U.S. chooses to attack another NATO country militarily, then everything stops, including NATO, and thus the security that has been established since the end of the Second World War." Can you rule out that the U.S. is ever going to try to take Greenland by force?
Well, let me go back a step. The president has been clear for months now, so I know you're treating this as breaking news. The president has been clear for months now that the United States should be the nation that has Greenland as part of our overall security apparatus. The United States,
but your wife posted that like hours after the Venezuela operation.
No, but
that's why it's newly relevant.
No, I'll talk with you about it for an hour. I think it's a really important conversation. I just wanted to reset, Jake, by making clear that it has been the formal position of the U.S. government since the beginning of this administration, frankly, going back into the previous Trump administration, that Greenland should be part of the United States. The president has been very clear about that. That is the formal position of the U.S. government.
Right, but can you say that military action against Greenland is off the table?
It wouldn't be military action against Greenland. The Greenland has a population of 30,000 people, Jake. The real question is, by what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony of Denmark? The United States is the power of NATO. For the United States to secure the Arctic region, to protect and defend NATO and NATO interests, obviously Greenland should be part of the United States. And so that's a conversation that we're going to have as a country. That's a process we're going to have as a community of nations.
So you can't take it off the table that the U.S. would use military force to seize Greenland. You can't take it off the table.
Jake, I understand you're trying very hard to, which again, is your job. I respect it. It's great to get exactly the headline, right? That catchy headline.
I'm just trying to get an answer to the question.
That says Miller refuses to rule out. The United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in the context that you're asking of a military operation. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland. So
one last question,
Stephen. Doesn't make any sense.
The question gets asked. He said, well, let me take a few steps back in order to filibuster the time because it is limited since this is a 1-hour program. And I know that if I filibuster long enough, I will drag it out long enough that I won't actually have to give you an answer. That's ultimately what he did. But then when pressed, but can you say the military action against Greenland is off the table? All of this is very telling. See, the Trump administration isn't willing to explicitly say, yeah, military action is off the table because it's not off the table. They are willing to use the United States military to attack a peaceful ally. He says it would not be military action against Greenland, which means it wouldn't be against Greenland. It would be against Denmark. The real question is, Stephen Miller says, but what right does Denmark assert control over Greenland? What is the basis of their territorial claim? What is their basis of having Greenland as a colony to Denmark? What's our basis for control of Greenland? What's our basis for territorial control? What's our basis? The fact that it's in our hemisphere? The fact that, well, we may have had boats there too, They tell them themselves in their reluctance to answer the questions. And then this finally will end here. The United States, from Stephen Miller, you just heard it, the United States should have Greenland as part of the United States. There's no need to even think or talk about this in context of blah, blah, blah. No, just obey. You are subject to the crown, the kingship of Donald Trump. Do not question, just obey. Nobody's going to fight the United States militarily over the future of Greenland. It doesn't make any sense, he says. And that might be true. In fact, it probably is true. And this is the problem with putting a megalomaniac in charge like Donald Trump. Because the United States military, much to global chagrin, is the most mighty, powerful military on the face of the earth, possibly the most powerful military relative to others that has ever existed in the history of planet Earth. So when you put a jackass, a mentally unstable maniac in charge like Donald Trump, there are consequences to that. And when we see a military that doesn't seem to have any questions about the actions they're being commanded to do, it raises larger, important questions. All of the media is tripping all over themselves. Elected Democrats are tripping all over themselves to say, oh, but the military, we love and we're proud of them. We respect them. When is that going to stop? At one point, are we going to start asking questions about where the loyalties lie of the current military under Donald Trump? When they are conducting missions in support of the DOJ, what Department of Justice officials were at the invasion of Venezuela? None of these questions are being answered. We are in a very dangerous spot that could actually start a global conflict, World War III, from the same man who said he would he would stop it. World War III would have started, but thankfully I became president and stopped it. And we have absolute psychopaths, people who are just, their entire brainstem is just infected with sociopathy, like Stephen Miller, who are the tip of the spear for Donald Trump, the man to enact Donald Trump's worst instincts. Nazis. Every single one. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. Let's have it in the comments below the video. And you can also call the voicemail line, 714-576-4054, or email me daily@dollemore.com.
Crimes both here in the U.S. and against people in Venezuela.
And now right here, we're showing you video we have immediately after the interview finished. Plickta was arrested by 2 Grand Rapids police officers. You can see it in the video.
It says something that I continuously have to repeat the First Amendment of the Constitution of the United States of America in order to explain what follows in a clip. That I must remind Americans that you have the right to free speech. You have the right to peaceably assemble, to redress your government of your grievances. You have a fundamental, sacred, hallowed right. Our founders saw fit to enshrine this protection of this natural right. The Constitution does not provide you. You don't have the freedom of speech because of the Constitution. Your freedom of speech, which is a natural right, is protected by the First Amendment of the Constitution, which reads, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people to peaceably assemble or to petition the government for a redress of grievances. That's the First Amendment. It is simple, simply stated. It is a concept that is rooted in our law. So it should be alarming to all of us when we witness a young woman who just protested against Donald Trump's illegal, unconstitutional, violating international law, invasion and kidnapping of a leader in Venezuela. And that's exactly what took place in the under the hands of these fascists in Grand Rapids, Michigan, who arrested Jessica Plickta. It's not mid-interview. I want to say it's during the interview, but as she explains it, as soon as the red light turned off on the camera, the cops swarm in, tell her to put her hands over her head like she's some kind of a threat. This sweet little young girl, this activist, like she's a threat to them. They showed it both in uniform, the same beard. It must be standard issue for the Grand Rapids Police Department. And they are arresting her because she had just protested against Donald Trump. How dare you speak against the king? You cannot say that he is doing something wrong. Oh, and what's the charge? Oh, she stepped into the street, apparently. Make fucking sense. Watch this.
Protesters on hand this afternoon. It was organized by the group Grand Rapids Opponents of War. Many brought flags and signs with messages opposing a war with Venezuela. It started downtown at Rosa Parks Circle before continuing in a march down the streets. The protesters were closely followed by Grand Rapids police throughout their procession downtown. Once it ended, we spoke with an organizer of this protest, Jessica Plickta. She says she was actually in Venezuela just 3 weeks ago and saw Maduro in person. Among her messages, she wants the U.S. to free Maduro. She also believes the U.S. attacks are in order to secure access to the country's deep oil reserves.
We have to apply pressure at all points that we can. This is not just in a foreign issue, it's our tax dollars that are also being used to commit these war crimes. It is also the duty of us, the people, to stand against the Trump regime, the Trump administration that are committing crimes both here in the U.S. and against people in Venezuela.
Now, in the background of this interview, you could see that police car. And now right here, we're showing you video we have immediately after the interview finished. Plickta was arrested by 2 Grand Rapids police officers. You can see it in the video, and an officer tells Plickta that she is being arrested for obstructing a roadway and failure to obey a lawful command from a police officer. You can see as she's taken away in that car, she was issuing a number of messages about wanting the U.S. to free Maduro. But again, she was taken away by police officers there, and you can see in this video, officers were closely following this procession in downtown Grand Rapids. We have reached out to GRPD for more information about the arrest, but we have not heard back so far.
That seems to me to be an abridgment of her freedom of speech, an abridgment of her right to peaceably assemble, an abridgment of her right to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Does not it seem that way? Now, the Grand Rapids, WZZM, Channel 13, they actually did some follow-up with her because she was in jail for 3 hours. This is just harassment. She is not a threat to society. She is not a danger. This could have been a citation because the protest was over. The dozens and dozens and dozens, if not hundreds of people that protested, this was the one arrest. The one person who had some leadership, she was holding a megaphone, and WZZM actually talked to her after her arrest.
He says protesters getting arrested is not new in Grand Rapids. Just moments after an interview with 13 on Your Side.
And as soon as the light to the camera shut off, 2 police officers came up behind me and said, "Put your hands on your head, you're under arrest."
I am not resisting arrest.
No, you're not resisting arrest.
I'm not resisting arrest. I'm going peacefully.
Organizer Jessica Plickta was arrested for failure to obey a lawful order of a police officer after marching in the streets of Grand Rapids against U.S. actions in Venezuela on January 3rd.
They had me bend over the police car, they patted me down, removed my belongings, and then they put me back in the police car without buckling my seatbelt and drove me to Kent County Sheriff's Office, I believe. The jail.
Plickta says she was held there for 3 hours before being released.
I wasn't surprised, just disappointed.
She says she chose to remain silent after her arrest, but doesn't understand why GRPD has a large presence at these protests.
Why is Grand Rapids seem to be the only city in Michigan where protesting is illegal? I believe it's our sacred right in this country to protest.
We reached out to the city of Grand Rapids to ask what the penalties are for these charges and if it's city policy to arrest people who violate those city charges. A spokesperson for the city sent us back several city code sections that apply to pedestrians walking or standing in the roadway and policy on failure to obey a lawful command. In a statement to 13 on Your Side, a spokesperson for the Grand Rapids Police Department says protesters refused over 25 announcements from a cruiser's PA system to get off the road, and quote, patrol officers consulted with their sergeant and the watch commander, who informed the officers that if the individuals could be located, they were subject to arrest. The adult woman who was arrested was positively identified by officers, and the lawful arrest was made. Plickta says this shouldn't deter people from taking to the streets.
People will claim that a street march is horrible, but you know what? A street march, a peaceful march in the streets, is far more peaceful when the world is escalating violence at a drastic rate.
She says she is awaiting notification of her official charges. Failure to obey a lawful command is a disorderly conduct offense in Grand Rapids, which could land Plickta 90 days in jail and or $500 fine if convicted. Callie Lichter, 13 on Your Side.
Look, we are coming very rapidly to a situation that will be an inflection point in America. It'll be the moment when some people demur, some people cower, some people hide, some people go quiet, and others raise the volume of their voice, raise the increase in their activism and organizing, who will double down on their speech, not cower. And I would hope, I can tell you which camp I'm in. I think it's obvious what camp I'm in. But I would hope you would also join me in that camp that will raise their voices, that will get involved. If you have not yet joined a protest, you need to join a protest. Fascism will only win if the populace lays down. So don't lay down. Get involved. I know maybe you haven't yet because, this is just Trump being Trump. This is not just Trump being Trump anymore. His fascism is being backed by these uniformed armed agents of the state who are arresting someone for speaking out against the fascist dear leader. That is what's taking place in America right now, in municipalities all over the country, including here in Washington, D.C. I've interviewed once, Brittany Page, who was filling in for me, interviewed a second time, Will Kelly, who now is being harassed by social media companies, kicking him off of Instagram time after time after time after he was arrested by the Secret Service for incitement of violence. We've all watched the video. He did nothing. He was talking to someone, speaking, using his freedom of speech to peaceably assemble and redress his government of his grievances. First Amendment. Big rainbow, the more you know, ding, 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 ding. But we have a ruling party right now that does not respect the Constitution. The same Constitution that saw fit to put them in power, now, not of any use. What do you think? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below the video. Let's have it in the comments below the video. Share this video with someone who needs the information, someone who needs to be fired up, someone who might not just be paying attention to the news. I'm going to go there. I'm going to end it there. I am as pardoned January 6th insurrectionists are marching on the Capitol in the next 23 minutes. Here I am, still talking about democracy, preserving democracy, respecting our Constitution, honoring the oath to that same Constitution that I took when I joined the United States Marine Corps and served on active duty for many years. My oath doesn't end, and I hope if you took one, it doesn't end as well.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments.
I don't even know, honestly, what you're talking about right now.
I've said many times in many videos over many days over the course of Donald Trump's second term that Stephen Miller is the shadow president of the United States. And not really Donald Trump. Donald Trump's the mouthpiece. Stephen Miller is the one who puts things into action. Stephen Miller actually runs the Department of Justice and the Secretary of State's position. He runs those. They answer to him. And it's arguable that maybe he actually has an outsized role in the Department of Defense that we didn't know about. But he certainly isn't just a domestic policy advisor for Donald Trump. And yesterday, in two different occasions, he was asked about what's taking place in Venezuela, who's actually in charge. Donald Trump pointed to the morons behind him and said, "We're going to be running Venezuela. We're running it. These people are going to help me run it." The coward who can't even run his own country purports to run another an ocean away. Fantastic. Steve Miller last night was cornered by journalists on the lawn of the White House, asked by Caitlin Collins about exactly what is your role? What exactly is your day-to-day? And he laughs uncomfortably and then tries to answer with not an answer. And then she finally bears down and gets the follow-up. No. But what are you doing day-to-day? His answer is alarming, mainly by what he doesn't say, but it is his demeanor, the cowardice that oozes from every worthless pore on his face. Watch this, and then we're going to go to him on Jake Tapper, which is even more bananas. It's a little longer clip than I normally play, but we'll put the timer up. You can follow along. We are in the worst possible timeline containing the absolute worst possible outcomes that could have been perceived of when Donald Trump took office on January 20th. Watch this on the White House grounds with Caitlin Collins and Stephen Miller.
Stephen, you were a part of that group, the select group that the president said is his staff that is running Venezuela. What exactly are your day-to-day responsibilities?
The President of the United States has asked Secretary Rubio, who also happens to be his national security advisor, to directly, of course, under the president's close guidance and direction, to be the lead on this process. But obviously there's many other elements involved. You have energy policy, treasury policy, financial policy, military policy. So it's a big team and group of people, and everybody's working great and closely together, again, under President Trump's leadership.
But what are you specifically doing? What are you specifically doing?
I make a habit of trying not to talk too much about myself. I'm just happy to serve on this incredible team on behalf of President Trump.
You don't like talking about yourself. You don't want to center this on you. You're just happy to serve this noble, patriotic team. Is that right, Stephen Miller? Is that why you cannot stop yourself from running to any fucking camera that's on to talk into whatever microphone you can get your stupid mouth on? Is that why? Because this isn't about me. I'm just a patriot helping Donald Trump. Yeah. The fact that you didn't answer the question says everything we need to know. And you attempted to do this with Jake Tapper less successfully than you did with Caitlin Collins. Again, this is all about who's in charge, using the military to secure our interests in Venezuela. Donald Trump has said time and time and time and time and time and time and time again that this is about oil. This isn't about security for the United States. This isn't about drug trafficking. If it were, he would not have pardoned a notorious drug trafficker, the former president of Honduras. Would not have done it if it was about that. But it's not. And we know it's not, because we've witnessed Donald Trump now for 10 years. We've heard from the people he's put around him for 10 years. We know what his motivations are. It's money, it's power, it's for people to respect him as the king that he wants to be. And Stephen Miller really just bears all of this to be true in this exchange with Jake Tapper, that again is a little longer than I normally play. As with all clips, there will be a little timer up at the top. You can skip ahead and skip through, but there are some important things that we need to talk about after you watch this.
The president was very quick to say that the recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize, opposition leader Machado in Venezuela, doesn't have the support in Venezuela to become the next president or the interim leader. And I wonder where he got that from, given that her cutout, Gonzalez, won the election last year 2 years ago, overwhelmingly, 70% of the vote or something like that. Why does the president think that Machado should not be the next leader? Why does he think she's weak?
First of all of Venezuela experts agree, that it would be absurd and preposterous for us to suddenly fly her into the country and to put her in charge. And the military would follow her, and the security forces would follow her. This is not a serious. It's not even a serious question.
So should there be an election?
Let me. If you give me the floor for 30 seconds, let me tell you what we are doing here, Jake. The United States, this is sort of foundational. The United States is using its military to secure our interests unapologetically in our hemisphere. We're a superpower, and under President Trump, we are going to conduct ourselves as a superpower. It is absurd that we would allow a nation in our own backyard to become the supplier of resources to our adversaries, but not to us, to hoard weapons from our adversaries, to be able to be positioned as an asset against the United States rather than on behalf of the United States.
Sovereign countries shouldn't be able to do what they want to do.
The Monroe Doctrine and the Trump Doctrine is all about securing the national interests of America. For years, we sent our soldiers to die in deserts in the Middle East to try to build them parliaments, to try to build them democracies, to try to give them more oil, to try to give them more resources. The future of the free world, Jake, depends on America being able to assert ourselves and our interests without apology. This whole period that happened after World War II, where the West began apologizing and groveling and begging
and
engaging in these
honestly
vast
what you're talking
reparation
about
schemes.
right now.
What I'm talking about, Jake, is the idea. And by the way, you do. I know you love doing that smarmy thing, Jake, and I was hoping to be better than that this time.
I asked you about if there should be an election.
Exactly.
I asked you if there would be an election in Venezuela. That's what I asked. I said, why was the president so quick to dismiss Machado? You answered that question. And then I said,
the objective, Jake, is security and stability for the people of Venezuela. With our help and leadership, that country will become more prosperous than it has ever been in its whole history. Venezuelans
but the
will
woman
be richer
running Venezuela
and
right
safer
now is
and
part
more
of the
secure
Maduro
and
regime.
better off. There will be conversations, Jake, about all of these guideposts along the way. The reason why I was giving you that speech, which I know you didn't want to hear, is because you're approaching this from the wrong frame. This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections to be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away. To create these vacuums.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm saying,
we're not going to let.
So is the U.S. going to have new elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tin Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
And we're not going to let a country fall into the hands of our adversaries. The future of Venezuela, working with America, is going to be so bright and so incredible and so positive, and we'll have a conversation about everything that you raised. But the priority right now, as the president has made clear, is a judicious, thoughtful, careful transition process to secure a great future for Venezuela and to secure a great future for America.
All right.
So let's just take a moment and just acknowledge, Jake, that what we've witnessed under President Trump's leadership this last week is one of the greatest foreign policy and military victories this country has ever had.
Stephen Miller, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Stephen Miller was so unprepared for the most obvious question that he would be faced with that he just started rambling about World War II, and it was befuddling. I mean, when Jake Tapper says, I don't even honestly know what you're talking about right now, Stephen Miller, he's speaking for the rest of us. Hopefully this is some kind of a wake-up call for Jake Tapper to start doing his fucking job. That would be fantastic. Maybe now that all the money has run out from him ringing alarm bells about the cognition of Joe Biden and can start asking those same questions about Donald Trump, whose mental illness now puts us all at risk. What do you think? Comment below. Let's have a conversation in the comments. Share this video with someone who needs the information, who maybe doesn't watch CNN. Thankfully doesn't watch CNN. This is why my job is sometimes not great.
Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him.
Maria Corina Machado is the opposition leader, the opposition political force in Venezuela, who received the Nobel Prize this last year, just a few months ago. Or maybe it was this year. It was this year. This last Nobel Prize was awarded to her. And she said she shares it with Donald Trump. And now she's being iced out, boxed out of leadership in the country that her stand-in, Gonzalez, is now in place. She left the country when she went to go receive her Nobel Prize, never returned. And she is really proving to be, I mean, I kind of want to shit on her because she says some really stupid things in this Hannity clip I'm going to play for you. But we need to understand it from the basis of what she's looking out for. She's not looking out for the interests of the United States. She's looking out for the interests of what she sees as Venezuela. She's not working to make Donald Trump more powerful. She's not working to make the United States more powerful. She's looking out for Venezuela. I think that's the most charitable way to look at this. But she still is demonizing socialism like it's a danger to the United States in this clip. And she is bending over backwards to offer Donald Trump her Nobel Prize because that is why she's not currently in power. And she knows it. They believe in the White House that she should have denied the honor, rejected the award, and said, no, I can't have this. This is Donald Trump's Peace Prize. And that's not just me saying that. The Washington Post has an inside White House official who has said as much. Here's the headline from the Washington Post. U.S. plan to run Venezuela clouded in confusion in Washington and Caracas. The vision for administering Venezuela in the weeks and months ahead appears uncertain and stubbornly complex. That's the headline. And there's a 3-paragraph part of this where they talk about the fact that she would be president right now of Venezuela if only she had rejected the Nobel Prize and said it was Donald Trump's. This is it. 2 people close to the White House said the president's lack of interest in boosting Machado, despite her recent effort to flatter Donald Trump, stemmed from her decision to accept the Nobel Peace Prize, an award the president has openly coveted. Although Machado ultimately said she was dedicating the award to Trump, her acceptance of the prize was an ultimate sin, said one of the people. Quote, if she had turned it down and said, I can't accept it because it's Donald Trump's, she'd be the president of Venezuela today, this person said. How historically weak and cowardly is Donald Trump? How historically insecure is this mentally ill maniac that we have as president of the United States? Here is Maria Corina Machado on Hannity last night, where he made sure to get into the business of the Nobel Peace Prize. Like, it's so important. Did you offer it to Donald Trump? And ultimately, she cowers. She bends the knee to King Donald and says, we can have it together. I will give it to him. As soon as I see him again, it's his. Please make me president. Watch this.
You stayed in the country, but you were hiding within your country until you went to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And I want you to tell us, you never went back at that point. Did you not go back because you feared for your life? And tell us, I mean, it's not very usual that people will dedicate the Nobel Peace Prize to the leader of a different country and say publicly, he deserves this more than I do. But you did that.
Let me be very clear. As soon as I learned that we had been awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, I dedicated to President Trump because I believed at that point that he deserved it. And a lot of people, most people said it was impossible to achieve what he has just done on Saturday, January 3rd. So if I believed he deserved it on October, imagine now. I think he has proven to the world what he means. I mean, January 3rd will go down in history as the day justice defeated a tyranny. It's a milestone, and it's not only huge for the Venezuelan people and our future, I think it's a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity.
Have you spoken with President Trump since then?
I spoke with President Trump on October 10th, the same day the prize was announced. Not since then, but I do want to say today, on behalf of the Venezuelan people, how grateful we are for his courageous vision, the actions, historical actions he has taken against this narco-terrorist regime to start dismantling this structure and bringing Maduro to justice, which means that 30 million Venezuelans are now closer to freedom, but also that the United States of America is a safer country nowadays.
Right. Did you at any point offer to give him the Nobel Peace Prize? Did that actually happen? I had read that somewhere. I wasn't sure if it was true.
Well, it hasn't happened yet, but I certainly would love to be able to personally tell him that we believe the Venezuelan people, because this is a prize of the Venezuelan people, certainly want to give it to him and share it with him. What he has done, as I said, is historic. It's a huge step towards a democratic transition. And I want to convey this to the American people, Sean. A free Venezuela means, first, a security ally, dismantling the criminal hub of the Americas and turning it into a security shield. You know, the strongest ally to dismantle all these criminal structures that have made, so much damage and harm to our people and to the American people as well. Secondly, we will turn Venezuela into the energy hub of the Americas. We will bring rule of law. We will open markets. We will give security to foreign investment. And third, we will bring millions of Venezuelans that have been forced to flee our country back home, to build a strong nation, prosperous nations, open society. We will leave behind all the destruction this socialist regime, criminal regime has brought to our people and turn Venezuela into the main ally of the United States in Latin America.
In what normal person's mind would it be appropriate to expect the Nobel Prize awarded to someone else to be given to Donald Trump, the warmonger? The man who's dropping bombs on Nigeria and Syria and Iran and facilitating a genocide against the Palestinian people. Venezuela is next in the sights. Colombia is next in the sights. Cuba is next in the sights. Greenland, he's frothing at the mouth for Greenland. Canada, to be the 51st. Yesterday, I did a video where I listed all of the new conquests that are on the horizon, the new military conflicts from the Peace Prize president. And yet these people debase themselves. They have no vitality in their integrity. They have no self-respect, no honor, no decency. Because Donald Trump's lack of all of that is infectious, apparently. What do you think? I would love to know. Look, I try to bring some nuance here because I think that this is disgraceful, but I kind of understand that her interests aren't in protecting what is best for America because, after all, she's not American. I get that. What do you think, though?
What they're saying is actually true. Anybody in the military will tell you you're not allowed to obey and you must disobey unlawful orders. But they're implying that there's some unlawful orders out on the horizon or that there's been unlawful orders.
Donald Trump is a convicted felon, a credibly accused abuser of children, an insurrectionist who attempted to overthrow the United States government on January 6th, 2021, 5 years ago today, which is what makes this particular topic so egregious. I'm going to be talking about Navy SEAL Jocko Willink, the thumb with a fucking face painted on it. I've talked about that. Look, I served in the Marine Corps. I wasn't a special operator like this dipshit was. But I've talked about this a number of times, about leadership. You've got followers and you have leaders. Jocko Willink isn't a leader. He's a follower. He also doesn't have his head screwed on straight relative, or maybe his bolts screwed in tightly enough. Frankenstein's monster over here. Does not have a clear-eyed view about what patriotism is, about what loyalty is, about what his oath to the Constitution of the United States was and continues to be. Apparently, he's forgotten his oath because he was on Sean Hannity's show last night talking about Mark Kelly being punished by the fascist skinny-legged dipshit Pete Hegseth for the video that we'll play for you again at the end of this. Where he admonished usually, or for the most part, I believe, the generals and the higher ranking individuals in the United States military to not follow unlawful orders. And now he's being punished for it. Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, tweeted this meandering idiocy yesterday. I'm just going to read a couple of little paragraphs here from it just to give you a flavor. And then I'm going to cut to this interview with Hannity and Jocko Willink, where he calls it a dishonest video and attempts to, I guess, provide aid and comfort to domestic terrorists, violators of the Constitution, traitors to the Republic. Pete Hegseth wrote this. Therefore, among other things, therefore, in response to Senator Kelly's seditious statements, remember, admonishing people to only follow lawful orders. Therefore, in response to Senator Kelly's seditious statements and his pattern of reckless misconduct, the Department of War is taking administrative action against Captain Mark E. Kelly, United States Navy retired. The department has initiated retirement grade determination proceedings under 10 U.S. Code subsection 1370F with reduction in his retired pay. They would say administrative proceeding. He also calls it reckless misconduct. Captain Kelly's status as a sitting United States senator does not exempt him from accountability, and further violations could result in further action. A threat to Senator Kelly. Combat fighter pilot, astronaut, United States senator, patriot. So this is what's taking place right now. And of course, Sean Hannity went to an expert in legal law, military law. He goes to Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL turned podcaster, Jocko Willink, where this particular exchange took place.
Now, remember, when a group of Democrats released a video telling members of the military and the intel community that they should disobey unspecified orders from the commander-in-chief. One of those senators in that video was Navy veteran Mark Kelly of Arizona. The Department of War launched an investigation into Kelly over what many view and have called seditious behavior. And now the Secretary of the Navy is looking at whether Kelly should be demoted in rank or have his pension payments reduced. Here with reaction, retired U.S. Navy SEAL officer, the one and only Jocko Willink is with us. He's a real hero. Sir, welcome back. Good to have you. How are you?
Doing great, Sean. Thanks for having me.
All right, reaction.
Yeah, I think that, Senator Kelly's a guy that served with distinction. I don't know what he's thinking in this particular scenario. I know that video, I don't think it was aimed at the troops. If it was aimed at the troops, it certainly didn't land. I think it was a video that was made to create a reaction as a political statement. And the reaction that they're getting is Senator Kelly is now facing a letter of censure and a threat to his retirement and his rank and his pay. So I think it's an escalating conflict. And if I were Senator Kelly, I think I would try and de-escalate if I were involved. I know that would hurt the ego because you think if you back down, you're hurting your ego, you're exposing yourself. But I think it's important to remember that divisiveness does not help a team win, and it certainly does not help America win. And he's not gaining any influence in the military with these types of behavior. So hopefully they can find a more constructive way to communicate.
Well, they said in that video they have not only a right, but a duty to not listen to, quote, an unlawful order that was never defined by them. How does that help the military in terms of the chain of command? That sounds to me like they're telling the military, don't listen to your commander in chief without mentioning any specifics.
Yeah, you're right. It implies that there is some sort of unlawful order out there. What they're saying is actually true. Anybody in the military will tell you you're not allowed to obey and you must disobey unlawful orders. But they're implying that there's some unlawful orders out on the horizon or that there's been unlawful orders without identifying any of them. So, yeah, that undermines the chain of command and it's not healthy. And I think anyone that's in the military knows and understands that. And that's why I think it's a dishonest video. And I think it's just meant as a political statement.
Dishonest video? How is it dishonest? How is it dishonest to say, follow legal orders, refuse unlawful orders? Just because he didn't list a bunch of unlawful orders does not make it dishonest. And the fact that you are working in service to a fascist, a convict, someone who attempted to overthrow the United States government leads me to believe either you're fucking stupid or you're a fascist yourself. You love to follow orders so much that you can't step outside of yourself to think and be a leader. This, let's remind you, is what was dishonest in the mind, what's left, the empty brain, the maybe overly concussed brain of Jocko Willink. This was what was dishonest.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly. Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy. Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk. This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad, but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law
or our Constitution.
We know this is hard and that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
the Army, or Navy,
the Air Force,
your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution, and who we are as Americans. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
So look, I'll let you be the judge on whether that was dishonest. I think I understand that we have a clear thinking audience of people who actually love the country and aren't bound by oath to fascism. They're bound by oath of love of country, of patriotism for our great republic that we hold so fondly. And many of you have actually sworn an oath to the Constitution to support and defend this document and its principles against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Because at this point in American history, our president is that very domestic threat. And you got Jocko Willink here, who apparently believes he was on a domestic terrorist outfit, the Navy SEALs, but he wasn't. He's defending the actions of a domestic terrorist, Donald Trump, of an international terrorist, Donald Trump, because he is not a leader. He is a follower and not of men, but of mice. He is a follower of weaklings. He's a follower of broken, psychically broken, cognitively broken, morally broken, ethically broken terrorists like Donald Trump and Pete Hegseth, going on Fox fucking News to talk to weakling coward who never served, Sean Hannity, to malign the service of someone who did serve valiantly, bravely, courageously, selflessly. You, Jocko, should be ashamed of yourself. I hope the checks are really big, brother. I hope you're being paid handsomely for your treason. Conceptual treason, not literal treason. I don't throw that word around as flippantly as some dipshits, but you're certainly a traitor to decency. What do you think out there? I invite you to this conversation. We can have it in the comments below. I would leave this with you to go on into your day and into the future, understanding our history, understanding the threats that are posed by Donald Trump and the armed, violent, insurrectionist mob that attempted to alter the course of American history on that day. 5 years ago, January 6, 2021, was the insurrection against the United States, an attack on the country, but specifically an attack on the United States Capitol. Right now, I am just within the borders of a fence that says police line do not cross, and they've allowed just a few people, couldn't set up a tripod. There was security enforced because of the 5-year remembrance of the attack on our country. Oddly enough, Republicans used to feel the same way we feel about what took place on that day. The violent insurrection, the attack on the country, the attempt to overthrow the United States government by way of overturning a free and fair, settled American election. I got a few things I want to say here, but first I want to start with this to demonstrate that they did indeed believe the same thing that I'm saying right now. This is a clip from January 7th, just the day after the insurrection. Greg Gutfeld, loyal Trumpian now, but at the time, he had this to say, and I want you to tune in to some of the words that are so laughable, hearing them now from then.
Let's get Greg's thoughts before that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Jesse on this. Vandalism and looting, whether it's in D.C. or Portland, Soho, Kenosha, Minneapolis, Seattle, it's all bad, no matter who's doing it. So we must remain consistent. That's what makes us different from the rest. We don't play favorites with mobs. The other side does, but we don't. It's hard for me personally because I was outraged over violence every single day this summer. I saw my neighborhood trashed. Still, I condemn this equally because we aren't them. We are better than them. To this point, I heard a pundit say that even Republicans are outraged by this behavior. Duh. Republicans are always outraged by bad behavior because they consistently embrace law and order and condemn the destruction of private and public property. I do believe the Capitol is a sacred place. I also believe that the guy who invested his life savings in a small business, to him, that was a sacred place too. So it's consistency. By pointing out Republicans or non-liberals like me who are equally outraged by this behavior, what you're doing is you're pointing out also the inconsistency, right? the lack of Democrats who weren't doing this when our cities were in flame. That pisses me off. But what pisses me off is what happened yesterday. We're supposed to be the gate. The non-left, the Republicans, the Libertarians, the Conservatives, we're supposed to be the gate against the barbarians. And yesterday, we looked like the barbarians. And to Jesse's point, it doesn't help anybody, but you will not see Republicans bailing out those who were arrested. See, that is a vital contrast, and Americans know this. So Americans do not need lectures from hypocrites in hair and makeup who pick and choose their favorite protesters, right? So I'm glad that the Democrats are finally outraged by this disgusting behavior. Join the club. I've been there for a year. I do not play favorites with mobs.
You heard him, right? Republicans must remain consistent because that's what makes them different than us. They don't play favorites with mobs. He condemns what took place here just the day before he said those words because he isn't a Democrat. He's better than us. He's heard pundits say that Republicans are outraged by this behavior. Duh. Republicans are always outraged by bad behavior because they consistently, he says, consistently embrace law and order, condemn the destruction of private and public property. I do believe, Greg Gutfeld said, that the United States Capitol is sacred. I do believe that. I believed that on January 6, 2021. I still believe that. Greg, what happened to you, brother? But what pisses Greg off the most is that Republicans are supposed to be the gate, the non-left. The Republicans, the Libertarians, the Conservatives, they're supposed to be the gate against the barbarians, he said. And now he's simping for Donald Trump on Fox News. The coward, the weakling, like the rest of the Republican Party, like the rest of the Trump cult that worship the dear leader. Last thing on what he said, you won't see Republicans, Greg Gutfeld said, bailing out those who were arrested. I guess except for the 1,500 violent traitors to the Republic that attempted to overthrow the democracy here. He won't be bailing out except for the pardons, right? If Republicans aren't going to listen to Greg Gutfeld, maybe they'll listen to the late Charlie Kirk, who had so many things to say in agreement with Mitch McConnell at the time. Why not just leave it to Charlie Kirk to say what he said?
So Mitch McConnell said that we are not going to tolerate criminal behavior. I completely and totally agree. I think that all the people that came into Congress today that broke the law, they should be held to the highest level of criminal prosecution.
All the people that broke into this building, that attempted to overthrow the United States government, they should be held accountable, said Charlie Kirk. They should be held to the highest level of criminal prosecution. Many of them were, and then that was erased through a presidential pardon by our traitor president, Donald Trump. Amazing how time changes the way they think. How listening to Donald Trump and following the marching orders from our credibly accused rapist of children president, our 34 felony convicted president, it changes everything, right? Let's not forget, please let us remember what Donald Trump did the day, hours after the insurrection began. He was forced by staffers, cajoled, influenced, pressured by staffers to make a statement. Now, if January 6th wasn't a violent event, if it was a tourist event, if it was a happy family reunion, like Michelle Bachmann said, why would Donald Trump need to come out and calm the mob? Why would Donald Trump need to come out and say, go home, I feel for you, you're so special, go home?
Good chase? Yep. When you're ready, sir. Yep, I'll be right behind you. You tell me when? When you're ready, sir. Who's behind me? He's gone. He's gone around. Clear. We're all clear now. I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had a election. Let me say. I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us.
It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Why would he need to say go home and go home in peace if it wasn't a violent attempt to overthrow the United States government? At his behest, at his incitement, at his promotion, at his encouragement. I'm going to leave you with this on this day. Look, I moved to Washington, D.C. in large measure in 2021 because of what took place here. I wanted to be on the ground, able to do things like this in spaces like this. And I'm going to leave you with what Jamie Raskin said today in remembrance of this hallowed ground and the attack on the Capitol. And he reminds you, and I hope that you remember, that we're still in the fight. We're still under threat from these people who now are in the most hallowed, sacred, important jobs within the Department of Justice, put there by Donald Trump himself.
They pose a serious threat to public safety. As we show in a report released by House Judiciary Dems this week, at least 33 pardoned insurrectionists have since committed additional crimes since January 6th, including child sexual assault, terroristic threats, domestic violence, and conspiracy to murder FBI agents. And yet, Trump indiscriminately pardoned all of them. When you reward and normalize criminal behavior, of course, you invite more of it. And the president didn't just free his rioters for doing his dirty work, he punished law enforcement for doing their jobs, purging hundreds of career FBI agents and prosecutors just because they worked on J6. He installed actual participants in the attack in the Department of Justice itself. The new U.S. pardon attorney, Ed Martin, tweeted from the Capitol grounds on this day 5 years ago and described the mayhem as Mardi Gras in D.C. His senior counselor at the Department of Justice, Jared Wise, is another J6 defendant captured on body camera footage yelling, "Kill him," 5 different times as police were being attacked right next to him. These leaders at the Department of Justice today have never once regretted their participation in this nightmare. With election deniers and J6 conspiracists Pam Bondi and Kash Patel at the top of the DOJ, it's like the Joker and the Riddler and the Penguin have taken over Gotham City. So I close with the thought that it is still January 6th in America, and it will be until the forces of strong, nonviolent democracy prevail. We are still in the fight of our lives, my friends.
At least 30 insurrectionists have gone on to break further laws, including assault, including attempted murder, including child sexual abuse. I guess all things Donald Trump is super, super fond of. So I would leave this with you to go on into your day and into the future, understanding our history, understanding the threats that are posed by Donald Trump and the armed, violent, insurrectionist mob that attempted to alter the course of American history on that day. We are still in the fight of our lives.